I know that you want to have a podcast, but what's probably keeping you from doing a podcast, all of the what ifs, all of the unknowns, things that are not reasons to stop and not necessarily reasons to wait, but you just need the down low. And I'm going to run through everything that I ever hear, and I'd love to hear what I've missed because surely there are more questions out there. Bottom line, today is the best day to start a podcast. Okay, maybe the best day was 4 years ago because this podcast, the one you're listening to right now, is helping me become better at articulating what I do, what I believe, how I think, how I then process those thoughts into words to then go out and serve at scale. We love this. Okay, I hope you love me, but this medium right here, if you're listening to this podcast, I'm either in your earbuds, I'm playing through your car stereo. I'm not nervous at all about that. Okay, maybe a smidge, but I'm speaking directly to you. This is an encounter. I wish I was encountering you the same way, but I'm glad at least that I can come and hang out with you, talk about this stuff that maybe you're wondering about, and have an impact. But I'm also getting better at it as I do. And I listen to my old podcast, so I know it's true. You are the CEO of Your Name Inc. I'm the CEO of Julie Inc. If I have one client, if I work in corporate, if I have 10 clients, if I have an agency, a business, if I'm a founder, a speaker, a writer, whatever that is, I need to have a go-to-market for my own visibility, for my relationship building, for my own level of marketing and sales, because no employer will take care of you anymore. You are responsible for your business. You have to put on all the hats, CMO, CRO, CEO, and all of those have different job cards. But there has to be revenue, and you are responsible for that revenue. That's what we work on, is the thought leadership that leads to the impact and the revenue that you want. I don't know if you knew, but with my fabulous friend Melissa Cohen, work with people inside a community, learning boot camps, and support your journey around thought leadership because you have a message and it's not like anyone else's in the world. We've got open enrollment between April 2nd and April 15th. This month, it won't open again until our next quarter, but we onboard everybody at a time. And we're kicking off a boot camp mid-quarter, all about that personal go-to-market strategy. Join us if you're interested, DIYinfluence.com. If you don't know me, my name's Julie Morris. I'm a thought leadership trainer, meaning people pull me in to enterprises or to work with founders, or if a board is like, make our CEO the face of the brand. Here today talking about podcasts. I'm sitting right now in front of my kiddos' choir competition. I'm in my vehicle. There's a cute little bird that just landed on the roof of my vehicle, and I can hear their little tit 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 with their little paw. That's where I am. I'm not in a fancy podcast box or a closet in my room or a studio with a fancy mic, because I know you're wondering, well, how could I start a podcast if I don't have the gear? I get that. This day and age of AI, one of the cool things is that it has finally given us some remastering tools. I'm going to take this podcast that I'm recording on my phone through voice notes, and it's running through my earbuds. I use wired earbuds in my car through my phone, and I'm going to get this whole thing done before I leave the driver's seat of my car, beginning to end. And I'll talk you through that process briefly, but you don't need fancy gear. It's a nice to have, especially if you want to do this added piece where you can get 2x on your time and your effort, which is video plus podcast. Because I'm in your earbuds, but could I also be reaching people who like to watch video? Could I be creating this as shorts for video? Shorts meaning around 30 seconds, at most a minute-ish for a video. That would be great, but that would stop me. Between the client load that I have right now and my kids and their many talents, I'm not going to be able to do that. And I've wrestled with that idea for a while, like, dang it, if I can't do video, is it even worth doing? And I had to put a stop to that because my minimum viable product is service at scale. I want to get the message out to you. I don't want to wait for perfect. I don't want to wait for something that isn't able to be operationalized quickly. Wired earbuds into my phone, and then I'm going to use one of a few tools out there in the editing process, which is very brief. And then I'm going to publish it. Let's talk very briefly about what that editing process looks like, and then the broader questions about a podcast. Stick with me. Editing is so easy now on your phone. So cool that it is, but you may not even need it. The voice notes program on my iPhone now has this thing where you hit a little button on it and you can say enhance the sounds. That may be enough right there to make this sound much more like a studio podcast than a I'm in my car on headphones podcast, because audio quality is crucial. The one of the only must-haves I would caution you with is know what you're gonna say on a podcast for sure, because every second is valuable, and the audio has to be on point. It kills me when I flip over to a podcast. It's from one of my favorite followed ones, and I can tell that the person that they are interviewing is on a laptop and they sound like they're underwater. It's so hard to hear. And my brain is starting to tune out because it's taking too much work to figure out what they're saying because it's that fuzzy. There's no excuse for that. That's my only real hard line here, is high quality audio. I'm using earbuds and I'm going to push it through one of a few tools. My favorite tool to use is actually a paid one. You do not need to use this tool because there are other free ones, but I love Adobe Enhance. It's through the Adobe podcast platform. I can push it from the internet. I can save this voice note as a file to my phone, and then I can open on a browser on my phone, Adobe Enhance, and I can upload that file from the voice notes file, hit a button, and then adjust how high of a studio quality sound it is. It can get rid of background noise and front noise. It's fabulous. Check the voice notes one first, listen to it, see if it sounds good enough. And then for more either cheap or free, CapCut is an editor that works beautifully on your phone, and it has a voice enhance program. Now, the challenge with CapCut could be that if you don't have a video with it, it won't just import your audio file only. What I do is I grab any video on my phone. It could be 2 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever, 30 seconds even. I first put that video file into CapCut, into a new project, and then I can add audio, and I can open up that file folder again and bring that audio file in, and then I go back to the video and I mute the video. You can turn the volume of the video all the way down, then add your voice note file, and then voila, you have something you can edit easily and enhance the voice in CapCut. You can do the same. So Descript is a fabulous desktop program if you want to move this to computer first. But anyway, just take a few minutes, go over to your new best friend ChatGPT and say, hey, I need to figure out a workflow for my podcast. Here are the tools that I already subscribe to. Here's where I want to do it. Help me figure it out. There is no need, if you're a new podcaster, to hire anybody. In fact, I would highly caution against it. So let's move back to the FAQ. Should I hire somebody to produce my podcast for me? My answer is no. For almost anything in marketing, unless you have a boatload of revenue, the answer is no. And here's why. Because if you can afford somebody to do your stuff, you still have to be the CMO. I don't care if you are a coder, airplane engineer, name the job. And if you don't have somebody who knows the platforms, who knows the ins and outs of it, you have to know it first before you can hire effectively often for that thing. You're your marketer, you're your CMO. If you don't like listening to podcasts and you go hire someone who says, oh, you need this for podcast and this for podcast, and before you know it, you have a podcast that not a lot of people are listening to, that you are paying a ton of money to get produced. And by the end of it, you'll be out 10 grand before you even know what happened, and you don't even know why it's not working. If you're not a podcast listener, don't start a podcast, but you are probably a podcast listener because you're listening to this. And I'm really glad that you are. So learn just enough before you delegate it, because you'll know what a good product sounds like and you'll have done a little bit of that digging. Don't hire somebody yet. And if you do hire someone, you get their portfolio. You get samples, you get testimonials. There are a lot of people saying a lot of things. I can do this for you and this for you, this. Ask all the questions you have and make sure that they have the proof, they have the work to back it up. That is crucial. And now I'm gonna do just the quick thing of, okay, good, it's still recording. Every once in a while, if you're doing a video, if you're doing a podcast, just glance down and make sure your phone storage or your desktop storage or your tech is still working and there was enough there, it didn't have to cut you off. Next FAQ that I get, besides hiring and gear, is should I have a podcast? I don't know if I should have a podcast. Aren't there enough people out there who have a podcast and who are already doing it better than me and already saying the same thing better than you? Of course there are, friends. Don't believe me. There are so many people out there with marketing podcasts, with stuff about thought leadership. They're saying maybe the same words, but it's sure not the same message. Like, I'm the only one with this exact message. You're the only one with your exact message. The message is original, number one. But number two, get this. You are going to be doing much more than just producing a podcast with this. Again, let's go back to what we said at the beginning. You have got to be good at speaking and getting the message out of you. You have to be ready at the mic, ready when someone hands you an opportunity, ready, ready, ready. And you got to do this work here of not just leaving it in your brain. You got to get the words out. I'm advocating for myself here and my ideas. Nobody else has to carry a torch for this message that's in my guts, in my heart, in my soul, that you have a voice, that you have a message, and it needs to come out there. I can't walk around going, hey, can you tell people that they have a voice and they have a message and they need to get, that's not their job. Everyone else has a message. I need to be the one sharing my message. You need to be the one sharing your message. Who cares what anybody else is doing? Make it all you. Make it all the you that you can be, and be willing to suck at the beginning and be willing to listen to the fact that you suck at the beginning, because that's how you improve. If you're wondering, how do I get better at podcasting? Well, first you have to be podcasting, right? Like, you have to be doing this work of podcasting to get better at podcasting. But the secret to people getting better faster is they listen to other people's podcasts and they listen to their own podcast. I will listen to my old back episodes and I'll go, ooh, I love when I sounded fired up there. I think I spoke too quickly there. I think I could say that. Oh, I'm going to try with that part of the message. I think I found something there. Like, and I'll hear myself say something and I'll go, whoa, I think that's something. Because there is like, I don't know if it's magic. I don't know if there's something neurological that happens when everything that floats around the brain gets put through. Like, seriously, I got to figure out what this is. It goes through your mouth and you say it and it transforms. And you will be surprised and kind of blown away at what you're saying. I didn't even know I thought this thing. And here I am saying this thing. And I'm even getting excited about this thing. Where did this come from? And I'll tell you where it all comes from. It is your lived experience, your expertise, where you grew up, who mentors you, books you've read, podcasts you listen to, friends, relationships, everything that you assimilate comes on inside of you. And from that place is where you speak. And oh my gosh, can it change the world? You have work to do in this world, and podcasting is an extraordinary venue. And to improve in podcasting, go back and listen. And don't falter doing that. Oh, I don't like the sound of my voice. I know. I don't like the sound of my voice necessarily either. Who cares? I'm going to get better. I have to get better. You deserve better. I don't want to waste a second of your time. And the only way I can improve is by listening to what I've said and being confident enough to and just accept that person. Watch your videos, listen to yourself, the whole 9 yards. It is so important. Okay. What other FAQ do I get from people about podcasting? What should I call my podcast? Now, that's a really good question and not the easiest one, but here's what I do. I will have somebody record 3 or 4 podcast episodes, and then we'll take a step back and we'll listen and we'll look at those as a whole and go, what what did I feel? What did I get? What was the core message that really came through? Because you can have a script and all the plans and the outlines and everything, and yet sometimes what comes out is really fascinating and kind of different because we've discovered more of who you are. Take a step back then and get really creative. And think of it not just from what you want to call it, but what would your audience actually gravitate toward? I've called this one How to Thought Leadership because it's how I think about what this is. But it had to include something about thought leadership because creativity, it only is a good thing if it serves the person who's listening, if it helps them find your podcast, and if it really still clicks. If I said your message as your mentor or something like that, it would be like, what? No, what? We're searching inside of our podcast apps for particular things, and our brains only want what's going to be awesome. I've worked with How to Thought Leadership for a while now, and I keep thinking if it needs to change, I will totally change it, but it doesn't need to change it. It's doing the thing that it was designed to do. Explain it, but also make sure that people understand its tactics. It's the how to. For one of my favorite podcast titles ever is from a client. It's called Travis, Can I Have This? It is so memorable. He's a CPA. He works with dentists. And he said, I hear all the time people say, Travis, can I have this? And that's where he came up with it. Now, doesn't necessarily say this is a podcast for dentists. No. But when he's doing an episode, the episode titles inside of them will have enough to clue people in dental and CPA, dental and tax, cash flow, reserves, like the whole 9 yards. If it's not directly in your title, make sure that it was at least within the title of your episodes and make it memorable. Now, not fancy, not from blank to blank necessarily, unless from blank to blank is really, really good. Really, really good. And it's stuff that your clients actually say. Like, I'm sick of being stressed all the time. Maybe that's the title of your podcast, Sick of Stressed. Right? Keywords, yes. Fancy, don't try it unless it's clear, and don't try it unless it's cool, creative, interesting. If there's no level of fascinate there, then keep digging. Keep digging. Look in magazines around your industry. What are your people reading? What are they gravitating toward? It's out there. Dig hard, because your title, it will help you stand out. It will help align people to what the point of your podcast is all about. And just don't leave it abstract in the clouds that nobody has a clue what you're talking about. You're really close to the work you do. Get outside perspectives and then ask people, hey, what do you think of this title? Travis, can I have this? That's the title of my podcast. If they don't go, oh, and they're either curious or they laugh or the surprise and delight, it's really clear it's about thought leadership, how to thought leadership, then push for more and try to not be too precious about it. Okay. Should I do a podcast that's just me doing a podcast, kind of like I'm doing right now, a solo episode? Or should I interview people? That's a good question. Number one, what do you like to listen to? I bet you like to listen to interviews, but maybe you just like showing up for like quick, dirty, give you that quickie stuff I want to get in and out. Think about what you like, because what you like is often not that different than what they like too. I will listen to a couple of long drawn out episodes on stuff, but it's fewer and far between, or they're incredibly compelling. They're with people that I really want to hear from, and they have a story that's just off the charts epic. Maybe that's what you're trying to go for, but you will have to start somewhere. Now, some people will use a podcast as business development. If I, for example, wanted to work with somebody in this industry, I would want to go and find somebody who would be like kind of the perfect client and say, hey, I'd love to have you on my podcast. And I get them to come on, tell their story. I get to ask them about stuff that they do and things that they like, and they feel heard and appreciate that. Focus on them for a minute. And they know me and my work. That is absolutely a viable thing that a lot of people do. And it helps others get their message out there. If you do that for business development, I will implore you. Everybody has something spicy to say. Not like salacious, right? But something really interesting that makes people do something that I call the stir test. If you're in your kitchen and you're stirring in a pot and you're listening to a podcast and you've got the marinara going, do they ever at any point pause stirring to where the spoon is midair and sauce might be dripping on the stove or on the floor because they're just so wrapped up in what you're saying or what your guest is saying? Because if that's not happening at all, what do you think the chances are of anybody coming back? You might be doing business development to some degree, letting that person who's on your podcast come and get to know you. Cool. But if nobody's listening because it was so self-serving, you can do better. It does not have to be that boring. Try to make it compelling. What else do I hear about podcasting? We've covered gear. Let's talk content. How do you open a podcast? How do you do the middle? How do you do a close? Really listen to podcasts. That opening took 2 minutes. I didn't get anything out of it. It was utterly boring. Then maybe don't do that. Wow, and this middle part here, they took forever to get to the point. Well, don't do that either. Find what you gravitate toward, jot it down, and then create a very simple outline of what you're going to cover. What are the 5 things you're going to cover in that podcast? Make sure that they are crisp and clear. And that, again, happens through practice. Practice, practice, practice. Not being afraid to have 50 not amazing episodes before you have killer episodes. But one thing I will tell you about the format piece, there's so many examples out there of so many people who have paid incredible folks to develop the perfect podcast. The flow, the in, the out, the middle. Listen, really do your homework. Really do your homework because you will be bought in. You will have clarity about what you like to do and what you don't like to do. And then don't worry about the rest. Just start. There are so many questions and so many things about podcasting that you will not figure out until you have started. Start doing the recordings. Start getting into your car. When you have something to say, get fired up about it. My very last little bonus thing here. The camera, if you are on camera, if you're on video camera, or if you're just getting pictures taken, we say the camera adds 10 pounds. Well, any kind of recording capture device sucks away 10 pounds of energy, if you know what I'm saying. Meaning I have to actually bring whole heart and soul of energy to make sure that you are not half asleep during a podcast of mine. If I'm just sitting here and I'm just kind of talking to you like this, if we were on the Zoom, I'm pretty chill, right? I'm not like, whoa, all over the place with excitement, but I do really amp up what I'm thinking, what I'm feeling, the emotion, the belief that I have in the thing that I'm saying. I want 10% more energy, 20% more energy than whatever it is you bring to a Zoom, 20% more energy, 10% minimum more energy. When I'm talking about hard stuff, I'm talking about hard stuff. When I'm talking about great stuff, I'm like, wow, this is so great. I'm not making you do the work to figure out, is she talking about something good right now? Is that a good thing? Is that a rough thing? I'm bored. I've totally tuned out of what she's saying. I don't want you to tune out at all. I'm going to make an effort to go into one of those editing apps, CapCut or like Descript on desktop, because I can trim out the parts that are not amazing. Make sure that every second I'm using of your time is valuable to you because that's what I want you to know of me. Thank you so much for tuning in to this podcast episode about podcasting. And if this is helpful to you, I would love for you to rate this podcast. The more that it's rated and followed, the more people will get to hear about it because we have work to do. You have a message to share. So do other people. Thank you so much for your support there. Start before you're ready. Ready is a decision. Thanks.